Every day, more and more people are making movies. Filmmaking has become the new garage band. I'm Johnny DiLoretto, and this is Framelines, the series that aims the lens on those who are out there making movies. Some are backyard Kubricks, making movies for fun, and others are aspiring Spielbergs, professionals working hard to make it in the industry.
Framelines is brought to you in part by grants by the Greater Columbus Arts Council, the Mid-Ohio Filmmakers Association, connecting filmmakers with resources, opportunities, and each other.
Peter John Ross hosts a roundtable with filmmakers, like a film festival panel in your living room.
So that's the other thing. It'd be, let's talk about kind of the cameras as a form of palette now. How important is the camera choice to creating your image now? Because every camera, from $500 DSLRs to the $50,000 cameras, are producing a really nice image. So what differentiates the different kind of cameras for you? What dictates that choice for you?
Well, a lot of it has to deal with what you're trying to do. So, obviously if you're doing a project that has a lot of high speed, where you want to slow the image down, there are cameras for that. If I know I'm going to have a budget and time for manipulating the image in post-production, well then I know I probably need to, select a camera that shoots RAW or S-Log or something like that. And again, what's the size of the camera? Do I need to use something as small as a DSLR, or do I have the space and the rigging to use a 35-pound Alexa package? So it always goes back to your story and the message you're trying to get across with your image. And there are so many features of cameras nowadays that they can actually help you tell those stories. So it's just a matter of figuring out what those are and checking those resources off your list when you're selecting a camera.
For you, Greg, you own many, many cameras.
Well,
yourself.
Over the years, I've owned a lot of cameras, and it gets kind of complicated when it comes to cameras, because there's the marketing that the manufacturers put out. They're always trying to create a buzz, and there's always trying to create a niche, and sometimes ad agencies latch onto that and use it for creativity and kind of force you into a certain camera. I mean, even specifically, they'll even request something specific. And you may not like shooting with it. I mean, none of these cameras are created equally. And there's so many price points, and the manufacturers it's like pulling the wool over everybody's eyes, because they want to have price points. And when it comes to DSLRs, I mean, I still love my 5D. It's just like my favorite camera. I've been shooting with it for years. I have a GH4, don't really care for it. I've used the A7. Next thing I know, I don't like strobing. I don't like the way I shoot. Some cameras just can't. They just don't create. They don't feel natural. They don't create the look. So you got to be careful of how you use them. And so you have to have experience with all of them. If you can't, if you walk on set and somebody hands you, well, for example, I walked on set, I drove 3 hours, 6 a.m. crew call. I get out of the car, and I got this director, high energy. Now, he's an older guy, he's been around, but high energy. And he says, look, you're going to put this helmet on, got these weights, and you're going to put this camera, and it's going right in front of your face, like this. Now, mind you, I don't have the vision that I used to have, and in the mornings it's really bad. So I literally have to start shooting like within 30 minutes, and I got to be point of view. And I like my neck, and this guy's putting it on, got these weights sticking out the back and everything, and I don't even know how to turn the camera on. and it was some kind of a Panasonic, and there was another camera running around, and we just go. So once I figured out how to get it on, get an exposure, stuck it up here, started walking around. I had an agency guy following me everywhere. Point over here, point over here, point over here. It wasn't until lunch before I had to finally catch my breath, you know. But technology, that's what happens. You know, they had some new camera, some great idea, you know, and everybody latches onto it in these little clicks. And then you got the accessory guys, right? And now everybody wants to walk around like this. Okay, I'm walking around like this. Well, who's pulling focus? Because I got this still prime on there that's got depth of field like 0. And so you look like you're a bad shooter because, boy, half the crap's out of focus.
Because they wanted that, you know,
well, you know,
stabilizer. They want the stabilizer.
It's the flavor of the month.
It's
So
the flavor of the month, and you have to be ready for it. Sometimes you aren't. It's just you just have to. But if you've got enough experience, you can learn to roll with the punches.
That's where the experience comes in. That's exactly right.
Peter John Ross explains a little bit about making movies in this next clip.
For many people starting out making movies, just photographing the scene they wrote is enough, shooting it from one angle, like this. Here we have a simple scene where a man and a woman are meeting at a restaurant.
Hey, sorry I'm late.
Okay.
So, what's good here?
Listen, we need to talk.
You can even add coverage from a few angles to make it more visually interesting, like this.
We need to talk.
Well, what is it?
I know you cheated.
Using the camera to help tell the story means that just as the actors have to change their performance to match the dialogue, the camera needs to change as well. And at the moment she tells him she knows he cheated on her, the cameras have to reflect the change in the relationship. We can change the height of the cameras so that we are looking down at him and up at her. This alone changes the tone of the scene. We can also change the angle so there's an awkward negative space, even showing the door in the frame, subconsciously showing that he wants to leave. You can also add camera movement to make the whole scene move along to the emotions of the scene.
Hey, sorry I'm late.
That's okay.
What's good here?
Listen, we need to talk.
What is it?
I know you cheated on me.
Our specials today are the crab stuffed filet mignon, seared rack
We're gonna
of
need a
lamb.
minute.
Notice the dolly shot. The camera movement in insinuates the man's guilt. Directing isn't just yelling action and cut. You have to use the camera to help tell the story. When you make your shot list, think about how to make the camera a part of the scene.
Framelines takes our cameras behind the scenes as we go on location.
What's with the suit and clown makeup?
My agent has me going on a 3-day book tour. She seems to think that it'll help restart my career. First stop's at the mall tonight.
Congratulations. And what about this? Is that part of your act?
That's actually my old man. You could say clowning runs in the family. So feel free to eat anything in the fridge. Make yourself at home.
What's this?
Oh, don't touch that.
Sorry.
You're getting awfully nosy.
Sorry, I'm just getting to know the place.
It's just an old prop of my dad's. It's got sentimental value. But I gotta run. Here's the keys, and good luck.
Coming into the project, we already kind of had a little bit of just like a basic prop we knew we wanted to work with. The leader, Danny Bean, he had his old 1940s ventriloquist dummy. We're like, we should try to find a way, no matter what we get, to work that in. And honestly, the rest of it sparked from Scott Spears' suggestion that our theme actually be naked clowns. And so we were like, well, let's run with the clown idea. And we tried to run with the naked clown idea, and that ended up not working out for us. And so then it just became this, the three of us worked together, me, Danny Bean, and my wife, Nikki, to try to come up with a kind of a story idea that first night, right after getting our theme of what's in the dark. For our team, it was pretty unique. We kept it really small. We had a total of 7 people with crew, actors, musician, everything. 7 people total on the whole production. And we all had very limited schedules, actually. The guy in charge worked late nights on the weekend. I worked during the day. So we only had Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And so we did the first week. We tried to put together a script, and we kind of talked over the internet with stuff. And then the second week, we kind of wrapped up the script, and we realized there were lots of problems. So we didn't actually get the storyboarding, which was horrible, because then Thursday we had one night to shoot, and we shot from about 6 p.m. until about 3 a.m. And just walked through the script as best we could. Luckily, it was a single location shoot, so that worked out well, but it was very trying, and luckily we were all really good friends, so moments of tension, we were like able to work them out pretty quickly. But I mean, there was definitely a little bit of struggle, and until we actually saw it come together, we were like, man, I think this is just it's all gonna fall apart. This is gonna be horrible. So you got a plan. There's so many shots of convenience and the kinds of stuff like that. And when you get into something like this where you just don't have time to go back and reshoot sometimes, like, you have to plan. Not having storyboards for us was huge. It was really hard. But the great part of it also is that some of us got to separate out and do some new things. I handled a lot of the motion graphics and stuff, so I had some time to just spend flexing my muscles there and learning some stuff, playing around with some new things. I did a lot of the art design, so I got to create posters and photos and some other stuff that, you know, I have the skills to do, but I'd never done them for a film before. And so, it was just a great experience to be able to do all that kind of stuff. You have to have a story that makes sense, and it's always, you know, keep it simple, right? Evaluate the assets that you have. On our production, like, we knew we had an apartment, we knew we could guarantee 2 actors, and so we wrote the script so that we were telling a story about 2 people in an apartment, because I knew that's what we had and we could guarantee. And that's just, you know what you have, plan, and tell a good story. That's the major thing.
People seem to hate self-promotion. Why? Seems like they're afraid everybody else will think of them as arrogant, like we're all still in high school. So what? Or worse, it's just plain laziness. Making a movie or writing a book or doing anything artistic is less than half the job. Promoting and marketing takes more effort than creation. You can't just make something and expect to get discovered. I swear, I think most filmmakers assume a limo is en route to pick them up as soon as they finish the edit. Like Hollywood just somehow knows there's this genius at work. No one will know your movie is done unless you tell people. A lot of people. I simply do not understand anyone putting in all the work and effort into something like a movie, then not working hard to get it seen. Movies take several people to make. In the case of big movies, hundreds of people. Think about how much time and effort they put into making your movie. Was it worth it for them if you don't promote the finished product? Unless every single person on your product was very well paid, you owe it to them to market the movie. If you aren't your work's #1 fan, why should anybody else be? That's not to say your work is better than anyone else's. No, that is not what I mean. What I am saying is this: believe in yourself, believe in your work, and always be proud of what you've accomplished. You made something. Now, start screaming from the rooftops. By rooftops, I mean Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and basically social media. How important is feeding the crew?
Oh yeah.
I just hadn't gotten to it.
Let me tell you, that's very important, because my wife, that's one of the things we allocated a small budget that every week, this is how much we're gonna spend on food, because you gotta feed them. I worked with a friend of mine on a movie, and oh my God, you wouldn't believe some of the things he fed people. And
lobster. That's the worst.
Cold bagels in a bag.
Oh,
and it was horrible.
You can't do that. I mean, there's a lot of things that even professionals will be like, I'll work the 12 to 14 hour day as long as you feed me well.
definitely feed them. My wife definitely fed them well. So yeah, it took grocery out of my refrigerator sometimes, but we fed them.
Yeah, I mean, like you know how important that is, right?
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
it's huge.
For you, it's like, I mean, do you do both full meals and craft services, or what do you do?
Both, yeah. I mean,
The answer
you have
is
to.
yes.
You got to keep food around and water, hydration, all that.
I think it's this
I mean,
interesting gap though between people, you know, who are established and people who are starting out. I think starting out people have a way higher tolerance for pizza every day, and people. I mean, this is like no. This is real. This was a real second shoot we did. I worked with phenomenal established talent, and I really offended them because I didn't have the right amount of the right kind of food.
So what did you get?
It was like pizza and I think, you know, chicken. I think I can't.
Well, what did they want? Just curious.
You know, I don't think I had it in me to ask at the time. You know, I think I was sort of like, you know, thank you very much for your advice.
Yeah.
But I mean, the truth is, if people expect something, it's really about managing expectations. If people expect something, you know, and it was my job to figure out what people expected, and I didn't in that instance. But
no,
that's because you got to have a budget, man, and you got to include food in a budget.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's something about the food is about morale. It's about energy,
Right.
like you said, hydration when it comes to water and stuff like that. But it's amazing, you know, how much less cranky people will be on set if they're well fed.
But they can tend to get a little lazy too if they're well fed too. Yeah, it's hard to get them right back on set because everybody's sitting around full.
That's where a good AD comes in.
A lot of food.
So, like, I think anybody that makes a movie has a certain amount of control issues.
yeah, no, I'm still learning it too. I think it's been both ways for us. We've had scripts where we had everything broken, shot list to a T, and that worked. And then there are times when we thought we had it all locked down, and then you get into set, you get on set, and then you get better ideas, or they seem better at the time, and you go with it.
Oh, I agree. I mean, even the short that we did this year for the 48, we had one written. It was 7:30. We decided to pitch it because we weren't feeling it, and we rewrote the script that we shot that day.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
And it won.
So yeah, all the actors were supposed to come at 8 in the morning, 7:30. We called them to 10, and rewrote the script in an hour and a half. Actually, we were kind of piecing it together throughout the night before because we had someone threw the idea out, and we were like, oh, this would be funny. So, which leads me to this is if everyone's not on board, you know, even if it's just like one person writing the script or a collaboration, if everyone's not on board, you know, scrap it and just go with your heart, go with the gut, which kind of works with the 48, but you know, if you have all the time to do whatever you want in the script, it, you know, it doesn't really apply to that.
So I was really lucky. I knew Joe, my partner, and we built crew out initially between people I knew and he knew. But I wonder about, for all you guys, have you continued to add to your team? I mean, this is something we've been really purposeful about on our team. What we do is find people that we think are better than us and that we really admire, and then say, hey, would you work with us so we can learn from you?
You know, how do you find people in this day and age? Like you were talking about groups like the Mid-Ohio Filmmakers Association or Indie Club Columbus. It's like Columbus has a couple groups, but
Craigslist.
Get some really exciting stuff.
Yeah, great stuff.
Material.
When you're doing film work, I think it's really important to get experienced people and have less experienced people apprenticing with them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I'm kind of like you. Started with a core group of people, and then, you know, we just want to keep adding to the mix. People that are really passionate and on the same wavelength as us, I guess.
That's the key, passion.
Yeah.
Because we lose people all the time. You get people and you lose people. You get new people, you lose.
Why do you lose people? I mean, what is it that happens?
Me, myself, personally, I just think that everybody wants the glamour of making a movie, but they don't understand that 12 and 16 hours behind it. And so people have to walk on, well, I got to go and take my kid to the soccer game. Well, we were shooting this weekend, because they don't have the same passion, the same drive, I think.
I think that's
just my experience with it.
No, I mean, I think that's one of the the negatives of being in Columbus as opposed to New York or Los Angeles, where you have like a plethora of people that know what it's about and they're really dedicated. Like you're saying, some people, they've got day jobs and they're just doing this for fun. They want to get involved, and then they realize, oh man, this day is so I got to get home. So yeah, I think that's definitely one of the drawbacks.
I like what Vic said. We say we're a collaborative team. We all work together, but we know who ultimately makes the decisions. And if it comes down to a deadlock where people have some idea and we just need to move forward, I'll make the decision. Mm-hmm. And then what I say to them is like, then you can be mad at me. That's fair. And that allows us to move on.
I completely agree with you. I guess in terms of like on that wavelength, too many cooks in the kitchen. If you don't clarify who's who and who's what, you can be a collaboration, but knowing who's doing what part is huge. Because I've definitely been on projects where too many cooks in the kitchen, and I just feel like that's when the team chemistry just falls apart and the final product is just garbage.
Yeah, and it's not just stops you in the production. That's, I think, where hurt feelings happen, and then people can't work together again, which to me is even worse.
People quit on
Well, yeah, you're right. Then you really can't do it.
And same thing with
people quit.
The expectations, knowing how long this person's going to be here for the duration of the day. That's definitely huge. Because we had a project that we were working on, and like 7 p.m., 8 p.m., some of the actors said, "Okay, we got to take off." And we were like, really? It was our bad. I mean, I blame myself, so that was definitely a nightmare.
Mm-hmm. You could have brought that up 30 seconds.
Sorry.
It's not too late. Magic of edit.
Magic of editing.
Magic of editing. Sorry, I'm not good on my feet. I'm just good on my butt.
But you're sitting down.
I know.
Worst thing in the world I see all the time is people throwing on the word producer without any definition of what that job entails. Like, oh, I want you to be my producer. In a lot of cases, they're thinking, I want you to be my investor. Mm-hmm. That's not what a producer does. That's sometimes an executive producer, but not even always. I think there's, and tell me if you think this is right or wrong, I think there's no job definition less defined in a movie than producer. Because you have co-producers, associate producers, executive producers.
Line producers.
Yeah, it's like, there's it could mean anything. Because probably one of the biggest mistakes I ever see on a set, even with some people with some experience, is asking somebody to do a job without defining what that job is. Like I see people go, I want you to edit my movie. And you would think that's pretty clear, but that could be, I want you to be a monkey that presses buttons to do exactly what I tell you to do. Or I want you to be my truly collaborative partner and help me make edit decisions. And it could be either one. And I see people asking, I want you to direct this, but they're not clear what that means, or I want you to produce this. And it's about communication.
Yeah,
that's
I
huge.
totally agree.
Yeah.
I think that of the very few things we've done that worked well for us, that's one of them. I think being clear about expectations, and it was a hard-won lesson, over probably the first short.
I agree with unless your friends are kind of in the business and they take it seriously and they're with you on the project, having a bunch of friends for crew or for actors, it definitely can get in the way. Especially with, I think they kind of start judging you almost, and they don't take you seriously. So if you're trying to get things done, it just totally gets in the way.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, I mean, this wraps up kind of the roundtable for first-time filmmaker advice. I want to thank everybody for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Welcome to another Framelines interactive project. On our site and our Vimeo and YouTube pages, you'll find all the raw footage for creating a multicam project. Start by syncing all the shots to the slate, find the clap on the waveform, then use your editing program to switch from one shot to another. You can also turn these into music videos by shooting your own storyline to edit into the project if you like. Please make sure to credit the crew and the songs if you post it online. Also, we'd appreciate a hashtag, framelinestv. So have fun with the footage, and I hope to see your edits soon. I'm Peter John Ross, and this is for Framelines.
Framelines is ready to wrap up this episode. We hope that you come back next time for another look into the world of indie filmmaking. If you'd like more information on the filmmakers or to purchase a DVD of tonight's program, please visit www.framelines.tv. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. That's all for this week, folks. I'm Johnny DiLoretto, and thanks for watching Framelines.